I give a call to the honourable member for Braddon.
Thank you, Speaker. Suicide Prevention Australia's State of the Nation report was released on Tuesday. The report revealed that an unprecedented 70% of Australians are experiencing elevated stress beyond their normal levels compared to this time last year. A conclusion was that two of the greatest stressors were the cost of living challenges and personal debt. Speaker, this is alarming, and so was the report. We all know that in the last few years it has been incredibly tough right across the nation. We've been challenged like never before. The toll has been great. There's no denying that. It's important to note also that these challenges aren't new. They've been at the forefront of government's thinking since the pandemic hit back in 2020. It's something that the former coalition government managed day in, day out for 2.5 long years. And, Speaker, in that time our government was able to respond quickly to every challenge that was thrown at us. We found a way to provide the support when it was needed and where it was needed. We targeted the cost of living measures that helped ease pressures on household budgets at the time that they needed it most. We reduced taxes so that hardworking Australians kept more of their hard-earned money. We cut the fuel excise that instantly reduced cost of living pressures. We looked after our most vulnerable by delivering a $250 cost of living payment to nearly 6 million pensioners, welfare recipients, veterans and eligible concession card holders. This was at the top of our landmark JobKeeper, JobSeeker and other pandemic measures that were universally applauded right across the nation. Speaker, people still stop me in the street today and thank me for being a part of a government who saved their business and kept a roof over their head. In May this year, the nation put their trust in the Labor government, whose promise was to tackle, as they put it, spiralling costs of living and a crisis. Australians are still waiting for the Albanese government to keep that promise. On Tuesday, on the back of the Suicide Prevention Australia's State of the Nation report, the reporter asked the Prime Minister what the Albanese government was doing in the immediate term to help people get through this cost of living crisis. For those who missed it, I can update the House that the Prime Minister made 4 claims. One claim was that his government was responsible for the recent increase in the pension. Speaker, this is not the truth. The truth is that the Department of Social Services regularly review the rate of the pension and other welfare payments, and this increase was simply a result of that twice-yearly review and had nothing to do with the Albanese government. The next claim was that his government was responsible for the recent increase in the minimum wage. Speaker, again, this isn't the truth. The truth is that the minimum wage is determined by the Fair Work Commission, an independent and separate from government organisation. Their submission was one of many, and I would say that they have no more right to claim ownership of the rise in the minimum wage than the other stakeholder. And finally, Speaker, the Prime Minister claimed that their commitment to cut the costs of medicine and childcare will reduce the current cost of living pressures ordinary Australians are facing right now. Again, this can't be true. The legislation has not even been introduced to the Parliament, so if both pieces of legislation do pass, the Albanese government has said cheaper medicines will not be available until January next year, and cheaper childcare until July next year. Therefore, Speaker, on behalf of the journalists whose question was left unanswered, on behalf of everyone living across the northwest, the west coast and King Island in this great state of Tasmania, on behalf of all Australians, I ask the Prime Minister, what is your government doing right now to help those struggling through this cost of living crisis?